How do humans think?
It is one of the most fundamental questions in neuroscience, and until recently, we were far from a conclusive answer. However, in 2018, a group of scientists from the Max Planck Institute for Human Cognitive and Brain Science suggested a theory that we think using our brain's navigation system. You mean we think with our biological compass?
Hmm, yes and no. Not that simple. Imagine this. You are navigating down a road you have never been on before, and you are without a map. You know you need to take a right turn after two traffic lights, as explained to you by a good stranger you stop to ask. You are moving down the road and you start registering information that isn't essential to you, but still can't help noticing it. Be it a hedge, or a tree, or a parked car, or a trash can with some graffiti on it. Before you know it, your brain has stored some information about surroundings in so called cognitive spaces inside it. These areas in your brains are primarily made of place cells in the hippocampus and grid cells in the entorhinal cortex. The information stored here not only concerns geographical data, but also relationships between objects and experiences. These cognitive spaces are kind of like mental maps in which we arrange our experiences with various entities and their attributes. So, how does this work? The 1971 Nobel Prize winning discovery of place and grid cells in rodents' brains, which were subsequently shown to exist in humans, paved the way for this theory on human thinking. Both cell types show patterns of activity representing the animal's position in space uniquely, and together the activity of place and grid cells allows the formation of a mental map of the surroundings. Surprisingly, the same regions in your brain show activity when humans associate objects in photographs with symbols, names, or other objects than said. The entorhinal cortex is activated in much the same way it is during navigation, providing a coordinate system of our thoughts. To quote Jacob Belmond, the first author of the publication that proposes the theory under discussion, by connecting all these previous discoveries, we came to the assumption that the brain stores a mental map regardless of whether we are thinking about a real space or the space between dimensions of our thoughts. Our train of thought can be considered a path through the spaces of our thoughts along different mental dimensions. These processes are especially useful for making inferences about new objects or situations, even if we have never experienced them before. Feeling confused? Want to know how to use this information to your benefit? Well, much of our time is spent trying to solve problems, visualize solutions, and as a designer myself, thinking of ways to make the next easy to use product. A lot of it is just chaos, and very little is what remains of value to us in the end. Remember the navigation analogy? Here it is just like trying to navigate to multiple destinations at the same time, in no order of priority or preference. There is a very simple way to escape from this madness, and the solution is stupidly genius. In this day and age, there are many tools like the Notes app on your phone or tablet, or something more advanced like Evernote and Notion, or something even more flexible like Whiteboard or Miro. Yet nothing comes close to the humbling experience of drowning out the distractions of the digital world and stripping your thoughts down on paper with only the words that do justice to your thoughts. Sitting on your desk chair at work or just leisurely browsing YouTube on your phone, you would say there is nothing new about writing down on paper and anyone can do it. But question is,
How often do you do this, and how much of the bulk of your day to day decisions is made in your head than out loud?
when you commit to writing freeform on nothing but paper, you let yourself see your overall state of mind and possibly confront things you otherwise wouldn't and get clear on your thought patterns. Doing this for long enough, you might just start noticing the benefits of it even though you are blocking your time to write down thoughts in the short run. You are increasing your availability of better decisions at work and life in general in the long run. You reduce your fuzzy thoughts and boil it down to a simpler, understandable phrase which informs your next set of decisions over and over again. It stops you from being overwhelmed and running from thoughts and helps you rid of the inertia of mental chaos. Thinking on paper doesn't just help you focus better, it helps you choose on what to focus better. It's safe to call it a resource available to all of us to design better levels of productivity, understand emotions, solve problems too difficult to visualize.
What other tool is so simple to adopt, yet it helps you declutter your mind, cultivate your curiosity, and helps you remain focused? None that I know of.
Let's take a sample problem I've been trying to solve for a while.
I have this giant empty wall in my bedroom for the past 10 years waiting to be put up with our family pictures.
We have the photographs, we have the frames we need to put up, but what we also have is a collective decision fatigue that weighs down any productive effort to solve this simple problem. We moved into this place in 2010, and now it's 2021. I do not want just family pictures on this wall, but also art, photography, as well as some memories without making it look like an average gallery wall, with pictures from birthday parties or marriages of someone close. I want it to be an eclectic collection of pieces that reflect my personality at this point in time and inspires me to be my fullest. So I take out a few pieces of paper and start thinking out loud. Here, our goal is to think on paper about the gallery wall, which basically will have four main types of content: art, for which I have two framed canvases; memories, which could be portraits of all four of us, events such as marriages and birthdays, as well as trips we made as a family; frames, which I have six small ones, four medium sized, and one large picture frame, as well as a tiny square frame and an old wooden frame I've had since school. Lastly, posters. I love posters, and two very important prospects for them are coffee and California. I'll come back to decide the artwork once I'm ready with the photographs.
Now we have a simple selection criteria. Select one portrait each for all four of us, one picture from my parents' marriage, one from my sister's marriage, one from our trip to Manali, one from Kashmir, one from Rajasthan, one from USA, one from Thailand, preferably with multiple people in each picture. This leaves me with two extra frames to choose from for my photography.
Having thought this out on paper, I am already closer to my then otherwise very difficult goal, which held me back due to the sheer availability of options, bringing the paradox of choice into discussion. Here, the problem was simple: reduce the number of options and set guidelines for selection. Decision fatigue leads to decision avoidance, where instead of dealing with thoughts, we just start stuffing them into the back of our minds to be overlapped by new ones until we have no more room left, which can ultimately lead to stress and anxiety. We feel like we are losing control since we need room to think and focus. And paper just happens to be full of room for us to easily streamline our thoughts. Just like selecting content to put up on my bedroom wall, we need to externalize our thoughts onto paper to let us select which ones to keep and which ones to discard or park away for later pondering. So, how will I personally implement this conclusion? Step 1: go through memories and select 11 of them to frame. Step 2: go through photography and select 2 to frame. Step 3: choose the right frames for each picture. Step 4: get it printed and frame it. Step 5: arrange it on the floor and copy the layout on the wall with some newspaper. Step 6: rearrange if needed. And step 7: finally hang it. Mission accomplished. Would I have a similar outcome if I didn't think this on paper? Maybe yes, maybe no. Would it have been this easy? Not at all. I probably would be stuck choosing photographs for the next 6 months or more. Thinking on paper lets us take a step back from the chaos brewing in our minds and take a look at what really matters. It lets you break down your goals into small, actionable projects. These small projects allow us to cultivate a curiosity we need to attain a goal, or even turn it into a full fledged passion at the very least. We learn more about ourselves and about the things we want.
Just like our navigation analogy, our thoughts are nothing more than a map we use to navigate our lives. And as we progress in time, we need to make an effort to update this map so it may help us reach our destinations right.